On June 7th, NASA announced its next class of astronaut candidates. 12 individuals were chosen from an initial pool of more than 18,000 applicants. And one member of NASA's newest class of astronaut candidates is Zena Cardman. She is a PhD student in geosciences here at Penn State. And Zena joins us tonight on Weather World. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this is so cool. Has life moved to another level of crazy for you since June 7th?
It absolutely still feels very surreal, and from what I hear, it will continue to feel surreal until the moment I am on a rocket blasting off. But it's been just absolutely amazing. I'm so happy.
A lot of meteorology students will say that they knew from a very young age that they wanted to be meteorologists. Was that the case with you in terms of being an astronaut?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, it wasn't. Like many kids, I grew up loving looking at the night sky, and I would go with my mom to see meteor showers at night, and, felt this sense of just awe and inspiration when I looked up at outer space. But I didn't decide I wanted to be an astronaut until late high school or even college, really. It was a high school biology teacher who sent me down the path of research and science, and then in college I was lucky enough to get spots on some field teams doing research from the Arctic to the Antarctic, and eventually accumulated what I felt might be an applicable set of skills.
Well, take us back then. It was December 2015 when NASA announced an open application for this astronaut class. Take us back to that moment, that when you decided to pull the trigger. I mean, did you know you wanted to do it? Was there some trepidation?
Yeah, I did. At that point, I already knew I wanted to be an astronaut and I wanted to apply. The previous class was selected in 2013, and already at that point, this was, a goal of mine, a dream. And so when NASA announced that they would be opening a new round of applicants, I think more than a dozen friends sent me the link, so it wasn't a secret at that point. But it took about 2 months for me to prepare my application. The application itself is really pretty underwhelming. It's just a resume, and you send it off to a government website, and then you wait. And it's just radio silence for about 9 or 10 months.
So literally, was it usajobs.gov?
It sure was, yes, exactly.
Well, and so how many steps to get from there to this point? I presume several rounds of interviews, written and oral exams?
It's, it's actually a little more simple than that even. So the first inkling that I had that maybe I was on their radar was my references got checked, and this was in June or July after I submitted my application in February. And it wasn't until the end of August that I got a phone call asking me to come to Houston for an interview. The first round itself is just 3 days. They bring us down in groups of 10, which was the most fun part of it, getting to meet all of these other people. Just their backgrounds were so diverse, and their resumes were absolutely unreal, amazing people, the things they've accomplished, but they were so nice. And it's a variety of things from medical tests to the interview itself, and team building exercises and psychological tests. And then you wait, and you get another call out of the blue for the finalist round, which is a week, so similar to the first round, but more intense.
You've talked a little bit about this, but you said in a previous article that I read that from a NASA perspective, you need to be like a scientific Swiss Army knife in the field. So what unique skill sets do you bring to NASA?
Well, it's humbling to consider myself in the company of this class, but I think if you look at all of us, teamwork is a really important aspect of everything that we've done. And so while I'm a microbiologist by training and I study the microbes that live in extreme environments, I also have experience, fixing things when you're in Antarctica and you can't just run to the store to fix something, to buy a new part. Beyond that, just trying to get some engineering experience and writing on top of that, and public speaking hopefully will help us convey the things that we see.
At this point, you're still an astronaut candidate.
That's right.
You are embarking in August on a 2-year training. You have to report to Johnson Space Center. What will that 2 years be like?
It's a lot like going back to school, actually. And so we have to be sponges, learning from each other and learning from the experts who are teaching us. We will do everything from learn how to fly T-38 jets to learning the Russian language, all of the skills and techniques for spacewalking, all of the engineering systems on board the International Space Station. So there's a lot to learn, which is really exciting for me.
Will you have time to finish your PhD?
I hope so eventually. After this 2-year training period, there will be opportunities for me to come back and tie up loose ends here,
Right.
but we're leaving it open-ended for now.
Then once your training is complete, take us through the realm of possibilities of where you could be assigned and what you could be doing.
Yeah, we actually don't know where we're going to wind up going, which I think is more exciting than knowing. You know, it's very not just the world, but the universe is our oyster. So right now we're going to the International Space Station, and we're hoping, though, that once these commercial crew vehicles start taking humans, so these vehicles are the SpaceX Dragon, the Boeing Starliner, maybe we'll start leaving low Earth orbit again. But there are a lot of different opportunities. We'd be excited to go anywhere.
I have to admit, I started out wanting to be an astronomer at heart, and I've looked at the skies, and I look forward to the day when we discover life elsewhere. I really do. But what would your dream mission be?
Gosh, my dream is just to be able to see the Earth from space, look back and, you know, see our atmosphere, that tiny thin bubble, and compare that to the blackness, the vacuum behind it. That would just be phenomenal.
And it sounds like you're well on the way to getting there. Zena Cardman.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to meet you. Thanks
You
for stopping
as well.
by, and good luck.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And we will be back in a moment with a recap of the short-range forecast.